Shashi, from a young professional in a shipping company in Mumbai to bringing and creating a company which was ready to acquire a much bigger entity in Europe, you had come a long way. What gave you the confidence and the inspiration that you were ready to buy a global company?
Yeah, before I bought this company, I was already in this business for about 15 years, roughly 15 years. I've been learning very fast, and by nature I'm a bit bold. I like somebody who likes to make decisions and move forward in life.
Bold means a very high risk taker.
No, not a very high risk taker, very calculated risk taker. That's the reason I said earlier that I'm financially very, very cautious. That's why I sold part of my shares to buy this part of this company. Like I said also that I bought in stages. I didn't buy everything at one go because I wanted to understand the company. The good part about acquiring this company is these are the people who I worked with for also about 5 years. And I knew the people, and I knew the second tier of management.
You were doing business with them?
I was already doing business with them. So the business is the same, people are the same, and it is the expansion from India to leapfrogging me to the international market, which is something I was always aspiring to. Not probably in this scale so quickly, but I always had joint ventures with the same company in Singapore and Dubai before I decided to invest in the parent company. So these are some of the things which I'm happy to understand and learn over the years.
So you could since you had an equation with them, you understood the company well, and when there was an opportunity to buy, you took that step.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely.
After that, what was the learning curve? Because you said that you wanted to learn and you bought and increased your ownership of AQ in phases. What was the key learning of doing business in Europe in a global environment from the kind of experience you had in Mumbai and India?
Yeah. I think generally I feel end of the day, we are all professionals, right? I think one of the most important thing is impose the trust and impose, or rather give the freedom for people to do their job. Particularly in Europe, they don't work in a very chaotic environment. They work on a very clear path, and they need a very clear job description and kind of a very set out parameter in which they need to operate, right? So I learned that very quickly. And I gave the freedom, I gave the trust, but I gave them the direction. I told them what is important for me and what is that need to be done in the organization to turn the company. Now, the company was not doing financially so well. Some of the things like I had to do is certain very harsh decisions. One about letting a lot of people go because there was a lot of fat in the company. There are a lot of incompetent people there in the company. I didn't do it overnight. It had to be done over a period of time, and I had to make a very bold move to make a big investment in developing an IT system for the company. The reason is, one, not only the systems were homegrown, and there was a lot of risk for the organization because it is not properly documented, and it was in the minds of people.
So you also made the entire operation very modern.
Very modern, absolutely.
Here, was it difficult for the European company to accept a non-European as an owner? Did you face issues on that front?
Time to time, you do get that sense, but overall, I got a great support from everybody. I think I didn't particularly face any difficulty of dealing with an Indian businessman per se. But we had our own style of operation that did clash from time to time, where I got some amount of resistance from the people. How
do you overcome that? How do you build trust with people like this?
Firstly giving them that freedom to operate, and making them accountable, right? As long as they do their job and you have a patience, hear them out properly, and when it is required, and because I know the business myself, when some things are said which is not appealing to me, the way the business should be done, there I put my foot down, right? And I also brought in a lot of systems and process in the company which people started respecting, and making those bold decisions in terms of restructuring the organization from time to time, making investment in IT infrastructure, making investment in expanding our network into multiple locations, doing a lot of vendor management within the organization, getting the right talent to within the organization which was missing. There are a lot of these kind of initiatives which are required. I used to read a lot, discuss and consult with consulting companies, engage them in
as you said, you also made sure that you use technology as a platform to modernize. But tell me, Shashi, as now a player in the global logistics market, where do you see the industry heading? Because there are a lot of interesting changes, some destructive, some constructive, or you would say destructive chaos or constructive chaos or creative chaos is happening because the fourth industrial revolution promises to make a lot of changes, and logistics industry is on the forefront. What are the changes you see in the global shipping and logistics sector?
There are two major challenges in our industry, actually three. One is it is a highly fragmented industry. There are large players, medium players, small players, very small players. So that becomes not a level playing field. That is one of the major issue with the industry. Second is this industry has most of the time have a very high capacity versus demand. So that puts a lot of pressure on the business volatility and predictability of the business. And the third factor is now the digital revolution that is taking place around us, which is likely to impact the logistic industry quite significantly, is what is being expected by far. So I think the fragmentation will continue. The overcapacity is leading to consolidation of the shipping companies globally. I think the number of players will reduce quite considerably, and also the shipping companies are increasingly becoming port-to-port operators. And the logistic services will be left for companies like us, right, even in the future. I mean, as a bigger and bigger role. So the industry is going through a very difficult time today, one of the most difficult time ever in the history of the shipping industry, that what we are witnessing today. And the disruption, we don't know how and when it will really impact, but we are all thinking, not as an industry, but individually as a company, how we protect ourselves, how can we become a digital enabled organization to protect our business going forward. We, as a matter of fact, recently hired one of the top professional from the Silicon Valley to take up a position of Chief Digital Officer in our organization. He recently joined us just about a month ago.